Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, buon anno. Welcome to my channel, folks. My name is Vincenzo and my channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Yes, indeed, Happy New Year, and what better Happy New Year wishes I can pass on to my viewers in a review of a beautiful Asvine pen. I gotta tell you folks, this pen is gonna be hard to beat. And I'm predicting that it may very well be my Chinese pen of the year. And I'm doing so as early as January 2025. It is a gorgeous writing instrument, and stay tuned. I don't have one, I've got 3 for you. In fact, I've got 4 for you to review. We'll compare them, we'll take a closer look at them, and I'll explain to you why I think this is potentially the Chinese pen of the year for 2025. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back with the pens, and let's take a closer look at them. Now, as you can see here, I didn't stop at 1, I bought 4 of them. Now, the reason why I bought 4 of them are, first of all, I wanted to show you, the viewers, the 3 colors that this pen comes in. This light green, this darker kind of tealish green, and this red. Even in the red, you can see that because it's right, it's stable wood, and there's some kind of integrated resin there. From what I understand, every pen will be different, which is a nice touch. In fact, you could see that this pen is in the red is very different from the others. So in addition to that, I've purchased a fine, a medium, and a 1.1 stub. So we will be able to take a look at all 3 nibs. They're all number 8 sized nibs, of course, and we'll be able to take a look. Now, we'll be able to take a look at the 3 of them. I did not order an extra fine just because you'll allow me that pleasure. I don't use extra fine nibs. Although in hindsight, I may have made a mistake there. I should have gotten it just so that I can show my viewers how extra fine looks. But you never know. I may order a 5th pen. We shall see. Now, it is, I think, many firsts for Asvine. First of all, I think this is the first wood pen from Asvine. And again, all of these assertions I'm going to be making in the next couple of seconds and minutes, please correct me if I'm wrong. So the first novelty is that this is first time Asvine comes out with a wood pen. Second, this is the first time that we have an Asvine number 8 size nib. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Third novelty, I think that, and we'll take a look at it more closely, I think that nib or that feed may actually be an ebonite feed. I'm not sure. If it is, it would be another first for Asvine. So there you have it. Quite a few firsts. Hey? You agree with me? So let's take a look at the pen a little more close. I'm going to pick the red one just because it's my favorite. First of all, first thing to mention, this pen is huge. I like the girth. I like the length of this pen. Very nice. I like the design. The design is quite original. This flat top design at the top finial kind of reminds me of some of the Ranga pens that I have. Then, of course, it tapers down into kind of a tapered down cigar bottom finial there. I like the Asvine branding there, nice gold branding with the C200. Some people may say it's a little bit over the top. It's a little bit too obvious. I like it. I think it fits in nicely. And frankly, I think it adds to the pen, but that's just a personal opinion. The clip is a nice looking clip, very springy. The only comment I may have is that this ring here, the clip ring here, may not be evenly placed. There is some, it kind of protrudes a little more here than it does on that. So it's not an even situation, but nothing that I would cry over and that would prevent me from buying this pen. Quite the contrary. Beautiful, just a beautiful pen. Now, let's look at how many turns. First of all, take a look at the wood here. I see no cracks. Unlike my bad experiences I had with the Dieman, yearly pen there. What is it? The A24 or the N24? I forget now. Cracked. The last version I got, however, they seem to have corrected the problem. I've used this pen not often, but they seem to have corrected the situation. So that's good on them, frankly. So I don't have any cracks here. At least I haven't seen any. You'll let me know, folks, if when you order this pen, if you do, whether you see any cracks. I've not seen on any of them. And I got to tell you, I've been on vacation. I've been to Florida the last week. And this pen was left, actually all four of them were left on my doorstep. They're delivered, and just because I wasn't expecting to receive them that quickly. And they've been in the cold for at least 2 days. And you know what? I've kind of met the test, because one of the excuses for the other pen, for this cracking anyway, was that the heat and cold kind of caused it. Well, you know what, folks? Heat and cold didn't cause any cracking on this pen, I can assure you. Beautiful, just beautiful. Take a look at the green. So it's kind of a matte finish. It does not have the kind of shiny finish this Dieman A7 has. It's kind of matte. Here's the green, very nice green. And this is the teal or the dark green. Again, you can see some of the wood here. Very, very nice. I got to tell you, beautiful, just beautiful pens. Now, let's look at how many turns to open up this cap. 1 turn, 1.5, 1 3/4. So 1 3/4 turn to reveal, what do we see here? This beautiful, beautiful nib. Now take a look at the nib. You have an Asvine branding there. You have the measurement of the nib, 1.1. Some decorative wings there. First, I think this is very different from all the other Asvine nibs, be they number 6 nibs, if you will. Let's take a look at the other 3 measurements that I have. Okay, here we go. So just beautiful nibs. You see there, you have the fine, the F, the M, and the 1.1. So that's another first for Asvine. We often complain that these Chinese pen makers don't offer enough variety in the size of the nibs. Well, this is the first time that Asvine offers extra fine, fine, medium, and now the stub. So congratulations, Asvine. So there you have it. Those are the nibs. Let's just close that for a second, because these pens are all inked. Now, I believe that this one is the one that I left uninked. Let's just confirm that. Yes, it is. It's got a nice converter, Asvine branded. The converter is a friction fit with that protective steel ring there. So fits in very nicely. You've got an O-ring there. Can this thing be eyedroppered? I wouldn't take a chance. I don't think so. There is metal there, but maybe that, I think that O-ring is just there to secure the closure there. I like the gold threading and the gold band here. Very decorative. Very comfortable pen, big size, very, very big size. Now, some people would argue that that kind of gold band is going to intrude a little bit or is going to get dirty when we ink it. But I think it just takes a few more seconds to ensure that you clean that pen properly. Not a deal breaker at all, in my view. There is plastic threading, so steel on plastic. Some people would say that may not be a good thing for longevity. Well, I mean, that remains to be seen. Again, I don't think it's a deal breaker for me, but some people may view that as a deal breaker. In terms of the interior of the cap, let's take a look. I'll just turn on my... You can see that there's a step there. So I think the seal will be very nice. Nice thick walls there that we see. Beautiful insert there that will, I think, protect and ensure the wetness of the nib. So that's good news. What else I need to show you? Oh, let's take a look at the nib. Okay. First of all, I think, let's remove that. I think that this nib unscrews. Yes, it does. So there you have it. It unscrews. You've got two O-rings there that need to be protected, that ensure no leakage. I've also tested it. You can remove that nib and reinsert it very easily. I won't do it again here just for sake of time, but trust me, I've done it. I've removed it, and it's very easily put back. So easily cleaned, if you will. Very, very nice. Well done. It's Asvine quality as usual, in my view. Does it post? Well, folks, it does post, but I think it posts securely but not deeply. Does it backweight? I don't think it backweights the pen. I think the pen can be used posted, but the posting is very light and very at the top here. And I don't like the idea of posting this pen because it might just scratch the surface of that finish, and I wouldn't want to do that. Personally, I don't post my pens, so for me, subjectively speaking, it's not an issue at all. But if you want to post, it can be posted. There you have it. I think we've covered all of the design and features of this pen. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pen. So what I propose now is we'll look at some comparisons and then measurements, and then I'm looking forward to the writing sample. So be right back. Okay, the first comparison that I'd like to look at here is with, first of all, here's a comparison with my Lamy Safari. I think I want to include the Lamy Safari from here on in most of my reviews, just because I think that it kind of a good indication of size. So you could see that, in the Lamy Safari and all the other pens are not small pens, but you could see that my Asvine overtowers my 9019 Jinao, my Wingsung 630, my N10 Ongdian, my Majon 139, P139, and my Jinao X159. You could see that some of these pens resemble Montblanc 149 and even the King of Pens from Sailor, and this pen overtowers all of them. So very, very, very nice, big-sized pen. Now, give me a second. We'll take a look at the pens uncapped. Okay, pens uncapped. As you can see, when we compare all these number 8 sized Chinese pens, the Asvine C2000 is the longest of them all. That nib is really nice and big. I would say to you that it rivals the Majon P139, as you can see, in terms of length and width. I think the other nibs are, when I speak of the Jinao, they appear to be, set in the nib section a little bit deeper, and you can't. It's not really indicative of the size. Although I think the C2000 here, the Asvine, is wider than the Vincenzo 630 and even the Dieman N10. But there you have it. And in terms of length, you can see it's much longer than my Lamy Safari. There you have it. Let's take a look at the pens posted. Okay, here are the pens posted. And as you can see, because the Asvine does not post deeply, I would say, it is much longer and ridiculously long in my view. The other pens post very nicely in terms of a little more deeper, except this N10. You remember the N10, the problem it has is with that, it kind of, by posting it, you run the risk of turning on the piston, and it just sits there, and that explains why it's a little bit longer than the rest, but still not as long as the Asvine. So there you have the pens posted. Now, the other comparison I wanted to show you was with the other wood pens that I have. Here is the Jinao, I believe it's the 9056. This is the, I keep forgetting the name, the Banju. It's got kind of a wooden finished barrel there. This is the Dieman A7 that I've also reviewed, which, by the way, had a problem with glued, with the section, and I understand they ungluing quickly and easily. I understand they've settled that situation with the new offerings they have, and this, of course, is the Dieman. Is it the 8? What is it? 24 or N24? I believe the number is inscribed somewhere. I apologize. I should know this. N24, not the A24, the N24. You could see that the finish of the Asvine is not as shiny and as lacquered as the Dieman. It's kind of a matte finish, even more matte than the 9056 and the Banju, and almost equivalent to the top section or the cap section of this Dieman N24. So there you have, and of course, these other pens, this has a number 5 size nib, number 6, number 6, number 6. I'm not going to bother because there's no comparison with the number 8 size nib to be had there. So there is for you, in a nutshell, design and features of our pen and the pen comparison. We're going to post some measurements and then look at the writing sample. Okay, so we're back for the writing sample. The first thing I'd like to take a look at are the inks. First and foremost, this light green, I will be inking it, or I have already inked it with this Mahjong light green, I call it. I know there's a name to this, and I apologize. I forget what it is, but it's the light green. I believe they have a darker version, but I think that should fit very nicely with this Mahjong light green ink. So that takes care of that one. My darker green, I've decided to go with, I could have chosen the Dieman teal, but I've decided to go with this blackish green ink. Now, the swatch that I have of blackish green kind of looks more blue than it actually is. We'll see from the actual sample whether or not, it comes out a little bit greener. But I've decided to go with this blackish green from Dieman. Again, I invite you to take a look at the last review I posted of my collection of Dieman inks. I thought I had them all, and a viewer mentioned to me that they've come out with 2 or 3 more. So I got to get those 2 or 3 and add them to my collection. I think these inks are fabulous, and I invite you to take a look at that review where I review several, over, I believe, over a dozen inks. So there you have it, blackish green for this dark green Asvine. Then in terms of this red, I'm going to go with the Dieman purplish blue, purplish red, I should say. Purplish red, which is this one here, right there. I think that that's going to be, in fact, when you take a look at the other red, it even matches even better. So I'm looking forward to using it. Another red ink I think that would go very well with this one would be probably Oxblood from Dieman. But Chinese pen, I've decided to go with some Chinese inks. And there you have it. Those are the choices for my inks. Now, what else do we need to look at? In terms of paper, again, I'm loyal to Tomoe River, the original Tomoe River, not the new Sanson one, which I understand this year is a complete disaster. But that's another topic for another day. So, first and foremost, let's take a look at this red one's got a 1.1 stub. So we'll commence with that. Whoop, sorry about that. Slipped right out of my hands. It's not slippery, by the way, folks. I just dropped it. So this is Asvine. I gotta tell you. C2000 red. The nib is a Asvine number 8 steel 1.1 stub. The ink is Dieman purplish red. Now, I could tell you right off the bat, this nib is absolutely super smooth, very wet, and absolutely constant. No hard starts whatsoever with this nib. It is, however, a more cursive stub, resembling more I would say to you, a double broad. It's not an italic stub, if you will. The nib is quite round. Does it offer any line variation? Well, I think you can see that the vertical strokes are much thicker than the horizontal strokes. Again, that shows you how wet this pen is. Do you get any line variation? I think if you push it a little bit, more ink will come out. It is not. This one is fairly stiff. I don't believe that it is bouncy. And we'll compare this 1.1 with the medium and the fine nib in a second. It is so very smooth. Very wet. Very constant. And by constant, I mean no hard starts, no skipping whatsoever. As you can see, whatever direction I choose to go, it performs very well. Fast writing, keeps up, very, very nice. Reverse writing, yeah, not a problem. Keeps up very nicely. So there you have the 1.1 stub. Next, let's select this light green one, and this is the medium. So this is the Asvine C2000. Just as smooth. Light green. I don't know if there's any other description for it. If there is, I apologize. But it's the light green. You understand. The nib, again, is an Asvine number 8 steel, this time medium. The ink is the Mahjong, and I'm just going to call it light green. I think matches very nicely with this pen. Again, is there any line variation? Again, I think if you push the vertical as compared to the horizontal, there is a difference. It's, again, very, very wet. Very, very smooth. No problem. In terms of consistency and constant, it's constant in every direction that you push this pen. Fast writing, not a problem. It is silky smooth. That little skip there is me, okay? Silky, silky smooth. So very constant. Now, in terms of springiness, it does have a little more spring, and I guess you can push it a little more spring than the 1.1, but not all that much. I think the line, even if I push it, is pretty similar. So I wouldn't say that this is a bouncy nib, but slightly bouncier than the 1.1. Okay? In terms of reverse writing, although I hate doing this, again, follows very nicely, and the line is slightly finer than with the 1.1. So that's the writing sample for the medium nib. Now let me just push all of this back so we can take a look at this. This is the fine nib, okay? So this is the Asvine C2000, teal or dark green. You'll understand what I'm referring to. The nib, again, is the Asvine number 8 steel, but this time it's the fine nib. The ink is Dieman blackish green. Whoop, can't spell. Blackish green. Again, some line variation, but fairly round, very wet. Very smooth. And you know what, folks? Most constant. Just works any way, shape or form, very constant. Does it have any springiness? Much more than the medium and the 1.1, but, you know, not springy to the point where I would call this nib a springy nib, but not, you know, a stiff nail, if you will. Reverse writing, I sense a little bit of scratchiness, but maybe it's just because it's much finer than the medium and obviously finer than the 1.1. So there you have the writing, the 3 writing samples. Now, let me just turn this to the next page, and well, I'll take my 1.1 stub, which is my favorite, by the way, of the all 3, and we'll take a look at some likes and dislikes. Okay. Likes. First of all, the design is just gorgeous. Very original. The build quality is Asvine quality, i.e. excellent. 10 on 10. The nib, of course. that number 8, and how smooth that nib is. And juicy, just juicy. All three of them are juicy. The nib is definitely a plus. What else can I mention? In terms of price, I will put the price up, the most recent price, up on the screen. I hesitate to give the price just because there may be a difference from the price that I paid, because prices tend to go just a little bit down as compared to when the pen comes out. So I will put the price up. But again, I think it's excellent value for the quality of pen that you're getting. Okay, very nice. Now, in terms of dislikes, some would say it doesn't post deeply. Some would argue that this finishing here is not perfect. Cap ring. Okay. But frankly, other than that, I can't really have any other dislikes, and none of these will change my opinion of this pen, and none of these would prevent me from, frankly, buying this pen, which, as you will see, I will strongly recommend. So, in terms of go-to, and by go-to I mean, will I use this on an everyday basis? Absolutely, this is a 10 on 10 for a go-to pen. And the overall evaluation, my view, 10 on 10. Folks, I got to tell you that the other Chinese pen makers, including Asvine, is going to have a hard time beating this pen. I'm predicting that it may very well be the Chinese pen of the year for 2025. That is how much I like this pen. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't get another offering from another pen maker, Chinese pen maker, that will beat this. But if they do, it's going to take a lot to beat this, in my view. I strongly, strongly recommend this, this pen. So there you have it. Let me just sign. So unless something major happens to this pen between now and the end of the year, going to be hard to beat, folks. Very hard to beat. There you have it. Buy it. That's my recommendation. If you got to buy a Chinese pen this year, it's got to be one of these. Choose your nib. In hindsight, I should have gotten the extra fine just to show you, but I am certain, based on the fact that these three, fine, medium, and 1.1, are very smooth, it would not surprise me at all that even that extra fine nib is smooth and constant and wet. So there you have it, folks. You gotta buy this pen. You just have to buy this pen. So that's my review. Very excited of the Asvine C2000. Hope you enjoyed that. Now, in terms, just a little bit of news on my channel, you would have noticed that I did come out with my first recap, but I did not proceed with the following week with my recap because I was in Florida playing golf with a bunch of friends. Golf was beautiful because it was cool, but beaching in Florida and Fort Lauderdale at temperatures that varied between 10 and 20, 40 and 60s wasn't great. So my wife did manage to, dip her feet in cold water, let's just say, or in salty water, and felt that sand. And I think it was better than the minus 15 temperatures that we had here in Montreal. But it was exceptionally cold, even for Fort Lauderdale in January. So mixed feelings there. But you know what? Mentally speaking, we recharged, both for my professional career and for this YouTube channel. I feel energized and ready to go and continue 2025. Have a great one, folks. Enjoy that Asvine pen. Don't forget to order it. No matter what, you got to order that pen. That's my recommendation. Ciao. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Bye now.